Hello and welcome to Nerd Central Continued, Nerd Central's pseudo after show. Let's go straight to the next installments of Force Feeding, Behind the Magic, and Flight 828.
Hello there. I'm Cody Nance, and I love Star Wars, but not enough people have seen the Star Wars. So I will be reviewing and ranking each film. Whether you like it or not, this is Force Feeding. Return of the Jedi is often regarded as the worst of the original trilogy, and I agree. Or so I thought. We open with the most boring opening sequence yet, with Jabba's palace. Everything about this place just makes me feel uncomfortable, and yes, I believe that was the intent, but it's too long, and much like Hoth, keeps me from rewatching the film very often. Luke goes back to finish up his training with Yoda, and is all like, hey, what's up with not telling me about Daddy? Yoda just kinda says, crap, I was hoping you wouldn't notice that, and then dies. The ghost of Obi-Wan is like, yeah, I was protecting you and your sister. Luke comes to the realization that Leia is his sister, and the audience remembers all the time they made out, and cringes a bit. A new Death Star is being built, so the gang goes to the forest moon of Endor to cut down its shields so the rebellion can blow it up. This is where we meet my next unpopular opinion in this series. The adorable but vicious Ewoks. Out of all of the attempts at making some cute space creatures in the series, these little guys hit the nail right on the head, and I will defend them with my dying breath, for the Ewoks are legitimately the saving grace of this movie. How do people hate this? Luke goes out on his own to try and get his father back to the light, leading to this really cool scene where Vader and Luke are just chilling on the bridge, talking about their point of views on life. The whole franchise could really use some more scenes like this, as it gives some insight to Vader's motivations and maintains his imposing presence at the same time, as he grips Luke's lightsaber, complimenting his skills as a Jedi. And there's even a hint of sorrow in his voice when he has to bring Luke up to the Empire. So it turns out the Death Star is functional, and we get a really cool space battle, and a good ground war too, with the Ewoks taking down the Walkers. So freaking cute. And Luke has a pretty good lightsaber fight with Vader. The Empire gets the upper hand and starts killing Luke with some zappy zaps. Vader snaps back to humanity and throws the Empire into a bottomless pit, and dies, revealing his true face to Luke so he could look at him with his real eyes. Then we come back to party with the Ewoks. Rewatching Return of the Jedi was honestly a treat. It was much better than I remembered, except for the beginning. That still drastically drags its feet. But almost all of my flaws with the movie lie within that opening scene. So yeah, this actually isn't the worst in the OT. That's right, I have another unpopular opinion, leading the rankings to be number 1, Revenge of the Sith, number 2, Empire Strikes Back, number 3, Rogue One, number 4, Return of the Jedi, number 5, A New Hope, number 6, Phantom Menace, number 7, Attack of the Clones, and still at number 10, Solo. See you guys next week when we look at The Force Awakens on Force Feeding.
Hello and welcome back to Behind the Magic. My name is Raylyn. In this episode, we will be concluding our Harry Potter journey with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Let's get started. Filming for the final film actually happened during the same time as Part 1, from February 19th of 2009 to June 12th, 2010. Helena Bonham Carter loved working alongside Radcliffe and Grit during this film with the break-in at Gringotts. She loved being able to play Hermione, even for just a short time, and she felt 17 when she was around the boys. The challenge for the film was actually with the goblins that work at Gringotts. They needed 60 actors that all had to have facial prosthetics, which was custom done for each actor. This issue comes when there was a need for 3 makeup artists per actor, and you needed all of the actors on set at the same time. They needed a total of 150 makeup artists to achieve this feat. A big kept secret during the films was that there was an actual model of Hogwarts to film scenic shots instead of using CGI. In fact, they have one big model and then a small model of the big model. Get it? For the final battle of Hogwarts though, they did need to make some sort of digital Hogwarts to work with. It took them over a year to build this digital Hogwarts so that it looked realistic compared to the model they had been using and to blend in nicely with the sets they had built. The final battle of Hogwarts was one of the harder scenes to film because of the scale of the battle.
So in order to prep and design the shots that David wanted, we have to do a lot of what we call pre-visualization, where we build simplified models of the environments, create lots of characters and extras, and then we plan and animate large amounts of the sequences so that we can design the action and the things that we're calling virtual. which in this case was everything outside the courtyard of the school.
For the final battle, there was a team strictly just in charge of making rubble. They took sand, shifted it to make sure there was no lumps, then took styrofoam pieces, dipped it into dipping latex, and then coated it with the sand. It took a team 3 months to make 400 tons of rubble for the final battle, and then 10 people for 3 weeks to build it into the set. Another interesting fact is that the walls of the actual set for the final battle were not real walls. They wanted to be able to remove the walls very easily and specifically, so they made styrofoam walls so that they could cut and remove as they needed. Finally, on July 15th, 2011, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was released. The film grossed over $1 billion, becoming the highest grossing film for the series, and is the 10th highest grossing film of all time. And that concludes our final film in the Harry Potter series. But no worries, we are not quite done yet. Come back next time while I talk about where these Harry Potter actors are now, pay tribute to our fallen witches and wizards, and talk about the best lines from all 8 movies.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
These girls, they're gonna kill me.
My name is Raylyn, and this was Behind the Magic.
Welcome back to episode 8 of Flight 828. I'm your host, Lauren Adams. This week, I will discuss the highlights of episodes 10 and 11 of Manifest and my new theories on what happened. Episode 10 begins with Autumn telling Ben that she heard the Major say that the Holy Grail they were seeking was priceless. Aaron, the creator of a podcast based on Flight 828, also heard a senator say, "It's the Holy Grail. We have to be the first or 828 blows up in our face." Michaela goes to check on the passengers and she wakes Paul up from his coma-like state. They find out that he now has amnesia and doesn't recall the flight or anything after. Michaela has a calling of a man in the snow saying, "Find her." Cal then has a similar calling, but in the man's hand is a picture of Michaela from a magazine. So the Find Her calling must mean that this man needs to find Michaela. Episode 11 is centered around Captain Daly, the pilot of Flight 828. He takes Ben to the flight simulator to show him what the government claimed the weather was like the day they disappeared. It was nothing like what they experienced. Instead, it looked just like a normal storm. Roger Minson, a meteorologist that was supposed to testify in front of Congress about the weather conditions during the flight, said he had great evidence on his findings of black or dark lightning. He was forced into silence by the government. He handed his findings over to Ben and then was later reported dead. Autumn then breaks into Michaela's apartment and takes pictures of the findings in the binder, and she also tears a picture out of Cal's sketchbook. Captain Daly kidnaps Fiona because he believes that she is running these experiments. He flies into a storm with her and they disappear. The government says they shot them down, but there was no plane or bodies recovered. Michaela and Ben then learn that Autumn was spying on them. At the end of the episode, Grace goes to check on Cal, but he is gone. The best theory that I have now is that whatever the Holy Grail is has given the passengers eternal youth. The real Holy Grail has been described to give eternal youth to people who have touched it. In this case, I believe that the Holy Grail is the person or thing that caused the flight to disappear. The passengers haven't aged a day since they've been gone, so the Holy Grail theory would make sense. My other theory is that the Holy Grail could be the dark lightning that Roger was studying. It not only made Flight 828 disappear, but it also made Fiona and Daly disappear. The UDS could be trying to replicate the lightning, but in the form of electric shocks given to the passengers, but on a smaller level. The electricity from the lightning could have been what connected the passengers together, so maybe the UDS used Roger's studies to replicate that energy, but into the passengers. I believe that the UDS will try to get the passengers back and conduct more extreme experiments to figure out the mystery of Flight 828. Join me next week as I explore episodes 12 and 13 in new theories. I'm Lauren, and this has been Flight 828.
Thanks, guys. That's going to do it from Nerd Central Continued. You can check out all episodes of Nerd Central Continued, and all of the other KNWT shows by clicking right over here. Plus, you can check out this week's Nerd Central right here. See you next week.